Hello. Yes. So we are live now and we will start with today's session. So today we will be discussing on very important questions on Geoffrey Chaucer. So it will help you for cracking UGC NET and upcoming Karnataka set exam. So stay with us up to last. So you will uh, clear with the topic, that is Geoffrey Chaucer. So we'll start with the first question. It is most repeated question in your every question paper. आपके हर question paper में ये बहुत बार repeat हुआ question है. That is, who is the father of English poetry, or who is the father of English? So the answer for this question is Geoffrey Chaucer. John Dryden first gave Geoffrey Chaucer this title. Who is the father of English? The same answer, Geoffrey Chaucer. Who is the father of English poetry? The same answer, Geoffrey Chaucer. Okay. So I have to be very careful with this question. Okay. So John Dryden first gave Geoffrey Chaucer this title, recognized his immense contribution to establishing English as a literary language during a time when a French and Latin dominated scholarly and courtly writing. Chaucer elevated the status of Middle English by using it for serious literary work, making it literature accessible to broader audience beyond the clergy and nobility. ये उनको क्यों बोला गया फादर ऑफ इंग्लिश लिटरेचर? बिकॉज उन्होंने जब लिटरेचर सेक्टर में फ्रेंच और लैटिन लैंग्वेजेस डोमिनेंट थे. All the poets and writers were using Latin and French language to write their works. In that period, Chaucer elevated the Middle English language. That's why he is called as father of English literature. So next question, question number 2. In which century did Geoffrey Chaucer live? So Geoffrey Chaucer lived in 14th century. He lived in 14th century. Chaucer was born around 1343 and died in 1400, placing him firmly in the 14th century. This was transformative period in English history, marked by 100 years war, the Black Death, and significant social and linguistic changes that influenced his writings. Okay, so this is the second question on Geoffrey Chaucer. Next, what was the Chaucer's primary profession before becoming a full-time writer? So he was a comptroller of customs. Chaucer served as a comptroller of customs for the port of London, managing wool exports and other duties. Okay. The government position exposed him to diverse social classes and intentional contacts, which enriched his literary observation, character portrayals in the works like Canterbury Tales. So Geoffrey Chaucer क्या थे? एक गवर्नमेंट पोजीशन पे थे. वो वहाँ ऑब्जर्व करते हैं कैसे कैसे लोग हैं, कौन से क्लासेस से बिलोंग करते हैं, उनका बिहेवियर कैसा होता है. सो वो सब उनको कहाँ हेल्प हुआ? द कैंटरबरी टेल्स वर्क. इट इज कॉल्ड एज मैग्नम ऑपस ऑफ Geoffrey Chaucer. Okay, so next question, fourth question. Which historical event significantly influenced Chaucer's writing? So the correct answer for this is the Black Death. The Black Death devastated England during Chaucer's youth, killing nearly half the population and causing profound social upheaval. This pandemic reshaped social hierarchies, challenged religious authority, and created questioning satirical tone evident in Chaucer's critiques of clergy and social institutions. So next question, fifth question. Which language heavily influenced Middle English during Chaucer's time? So कौन सी language चौसर के टाइम पे इन्फ्लुएंस करती थी? So the correct answer for this is French. Following the Norman conquest of 1066. French remained the language of the English court and aristocracy of centuries. Chaucer himself translated French works and borrowed extensively from French literary traditions, including courtly law conventions, while simultaneously working to establish English as a legitimate literary language. Okay, so the French was very dominated during Chaucer's time. That's why he brought English into flow. Okay, next, it is on the major works by Geoffrey Chaucer. What is Geoffrey Chaucer's most famous work? The most famous work of his is the Canterbury Tales. The Canterbury Tales is Chaucer's masterpiece and remains one of the most important works in English literature. This collection of 24 stories told by pilgrimage traveling to Canterbury showcases Chaucer's mastery of narrative techniques. Uh, Character development, social satire, and his ability. Okay, and his ability to capture the diversity of medieval English society. So it is one of the satire on the medieval society. Satire मतलब उसके ऊपर लिखा गया. Criticism, you can say one type of criticism work. Next, Chaucer's first work, the Book of Duchess, is a dream poem written on the death of whom? So this poem was written on the death of Duchess of Lancaster. The Book of the Duchess 1369 was written as an elegy for Blanche, Duchess of Lancaster, who died of the plague. The poem was commissioned by John Gaunt, Blanche's husband and Chaucer's patron, demonstrating Chaucer's early connection to the royal court and his ability to blend French dream vision conventions with the English literary tradition. So this poem, the Book of the Duchess, yes, this is written on the death of Duchess of Lancaster. Okay. Next question, 8th question. What is Troilus and Cyrus primarily about? So this story is about a tragic love story setting during the Trojan War. Troilus and Cyrus is a Chaucer's tragic romance that tells the story of Trojan prince Troilus and his love of Criseyde. Sets against the backdrop of Trojan War based on Boccaccio 2. Philostrato, this work explores the themes of love, betrayal, fate, and fortune, and is considered one of the finest narrative poems in English literature, demonstrating Chaucer's psychological depth and sophisticated storytelling. Next question, 9th question. How many legends of good woman could Chaucer complete in the legend of good woman? So the correct answer for this question is 9. There were 9 good women in this work. So the legend of good woman remained unfinished. It was not completed, with Chaucer's completing only 9 of the planned 19th or 20 legends celebrating virtuous women. He wanted to write about 19 or 20 women, but he could only write about 9 from classical antiquity. This work is significant because Chaucer used the heroic couplet form here, which he would later perfect in the Canterbury Tales. This work is very important. क्यों ये work important है? Because उन्होंने heroic couplet का use किया, जो perfect कहाँ use किया है? The Canterbury Tales. शुरुआत इसी work से हुई, The Legend of Good Woman. Okay, so it is unfinished. A आधा है, आधा अधूरा work है. So if the question arises in your upcoming exam, the unfinished work of Chaucer, so you have to, if the option is there, the Legend of Good Woman, so you can go with this answer. Next, 10th question. In which work did Chaucer introduce the heroic couplet to English poetry? The same question from the previous one. So he started this using the heroic couplet from the legend of Guduman only. Chaucer first employed the heroic couplet pairs of rhyming iambic pentameters line in the legend of Guduman. This verse form became his signature style and dominant from the Canterbury Tales, profoundly influencing English poetry for centuries, particularly during the Augustan age. So this heroic couplet he introduced from the legend of Guman, the legend of Good Omen, and after that everyone started using this heroic couplet. It was very much famous during the Augustan age. Now we will discuss about the Canterbury Tales, the structure, framework, everything. How many pilgrimage are there in Canterbury Tales? So the correct answer for this question is 29. The general prologue describes 29 pilgrimage plus as a Chaucer as a narrator. Okay, gathering at the Tabard Inn in the south before their pilgrimage to Canterbury. They wanted to set a pilgrimage from Inn to Canterbury. So there were 29 pilgrimage and plus Chaucer as a narrator. These characters represents a cross section of 14th century English society. ये अलग अलग क्लास को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं. कौन सी सेंचुरी के? 14th सेंचुरी के. फ्रॉम द नोबल नाइट टू हम्बल प्लोमैन. फ्रॉम नोबल नाइट से लेके हम्बल प्लोमैन तक. Allowing Chaucers to explore diverse perspectives and critique social institute. He used every character to criticize a social classes. Okay. उन्होंने क्या किया? हर एक कैरेक्टर को वो सोशल क्लास के बारे में बताने के लिए यूज किया गया. So next question, what is the structure of the Canterbury Tales based on? So the correct answer for this question is a storytelling contest among the pilgrimage. The framework involves pilgrimage traveling to Canterbury Cathedral with the host Harry Bailey proposing a storytelling competition to entertain themselves during the journey. Each pilgrimage was supposed to tell 4 tales, 2 on the way there and 2 on returning, with the best storyteller receiving a free meal at Tabard Inn. So this what is the structure of the Canterbury Tales? मतलब एक स्टोरी टेलिंग कॉन्टेस्ट था अमॉन्ग द पिलिग्रिमेज के बीच में ही एक स्टोरी टेलिंग का कंपटीशन रखा गया. कौन था इसका होस्ट? हैरी बेली. सो उन्होंने एक कंपटीशन मतलब कंडक्ट किया. क्यों किया? टू एंटरटेन देमसेल्फ, क्योंकि वो पिलिग्रिमेज जा रहे थे ना वन प्लेस से अनदर प्लेस. तो तब के ज़माने में कोई एंटरटेनमेंट का साधन नहीं था, तो इसीलिए उन्होंने खुद को एंटरटेन करने के लिए स्टोरी टेलिंग कंपटीशन ऑर्गेनाइज किया, जहां हर एक पिलिग्रिमेज को 4 टेल्स बताने थे, 4 स्टोरीज बताने थे. एक 2 जाते वक्त और 2 वापस आते वक्त. और इनको प्राइज में क्या मिलने वाला था? फ्री मील एट द टाबर्ड इन. ओके. So next, who is a host in the Canterbury Tales? Already we have discussed this question. Harry Bailey was the host in the Canterbury Tales. Harry Bailey, the innkeeper of the Tabard Inn, serves as the host and the master ceremonies for the pilgrimage. He proposes the storytelling contest, acts as a judge, mediates disputes between pilgrimage, and provides commentary, effectively serving as a framework, organizing principle, and adding dramatic unity to the collection. हैरी बेली जो थे उन्होंने इस स्टोरी टेलिंग कंपटीशन को कंडक्ट किया. वो एज अ जज एक्ट करते थे. बीच में डिस्प्यूट हुआ तो उसमें मीडिएटर का भी काम करते थे और उस पर कॉमेंट्री भी बोलते थे. Next question, question number 14. What does the host propose to make the journey more entertaining? तो host हैरी बेली ने क्या organize किया? So he proposed a storytelling competition. Harry Bailey proposes that each pilgrimage tell the stories during their journey to Canterbury and back, with the teller of the best tale receiving a free dinner at his tavern. This device allows Chaucer to present diverse narrative styles and genres while maintaining a unifying framework. Though the work remained incomplete with only 24 tales finished. So ये भी जो वर्क था कैंटरबरी टेल्स ये भी अनफिनिश्ड रहा, मतलब पूरा कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ, इसमें सिर्फ 24 टेल्स ही बताए गए हैं. So next question 15. In which month do Chaucer's pilgrimage undertake their pilgrimage? So the correct answer for this question is April. The famous opening lines of the Canterbury Tales establish that pilgrimage occurs in April. One that April with his shows suit. These are the opening lines of that Canterbury Tales. So from this we can understand that they started their pilgrimage in the month of April. April was traditionally the season for pilgrimage when the spring made travel easier after winter, and specifically for journeys to Canterbury to visit the shrine Saint Thomas Becket. So April traditionally pilgrimage के लिए माना जाता था. April month is the best for the pilgrimage. They had that feeling, or they had that belief. That's why they started their journey in the month of April. So next question on the pilgrimage and the character. Who is the youngest pilgrim in the Canterbury Tales? The squire. The squire is the youngest pilgrim in the Canterbury Tales. The squire is described as a young man of about 20 years, the son of knight. He embodies youthful, courtly love ideals, is skilled in music, poetry, and represents the next generation cavalry. Through Chaucer's portray him as a more concerned with the romantic pursuits than marital valor. So the squire जो था, he was a very young person in this pilgrim book group. So he was very skilled in music and poetry writing. Next, question number 17. The young squire in the Canterbury Tales is son of whom? So the young squire in the Canterbury Tales is the son of whom? So the correct answer for this question is the knight. The squire is explicitly identified as the knight's son and serves as his father's attendant on the pilgrimage. जो square था वो knight का son था. Son in the sense he was the उनका लड़का था. While the knight represents the mature, seasoned chivalry with the genuine religious devotion, the squire embodies youthful, courtly love and fashionable appearance, creating an interesting generational contrast in chivalric values. Question number 18. What is the name of the prioress in the Canterbury Tales? So the correct answer for this question is Madame Eglantine. So the prioress is called as Madame Eglantine, French for sweet briar or wild rose. Chaucer's portrayal satirizes her concern with the courtly manners and appearance rather than the spiritual matters. Thus, she speaks French, wears fashionable clothes, and carries a brooch inscribed Amor vincit omnia. Love conquers all, revealing worldly rather than the religious priorities. So उनका नाम क्या था प्रायोरिस का? मैडम एगल्टाइन. शी यूज टू स्पीक फ्रेंच. वो कौन सी भाषा बोलती थी? फ्रेंच भाषा. और वो फैशनेबल क्लोथ्स को पहनती थी. एंड उनका जो अपीयरेंस था वो रिलीजियस कम बट फैशनेबल ज़्यादा लगता था. No, so next question 19. Which pilgrim carries a brooch inscribed with the Amor vincit omnia? Love conquers all. So already we have discussed this question. The prioress. The prioress wears here this motto on her brooch, which creates deliberate ambiguity about whether she means divine love or courtly romantic love. This detail exemplifies Chaucer's stubble satirical technique suggesting the prioress is more concerned with worldly elegance and courtly conventions that than with her religious oaths. Next question 20. Who is described as Epicerus' own son? The correct answer is the Franklin. Franklin is characterized as Epicerus' own son, indicating his belief that pleasures constitute true happiness. A wealthy landowner, he is famous for his hospitality and love of fine food and wine, keeping a well-stocked table year-round. Though he represents the virtuous side of material pleasure rather than the gluttony. So the Franklin जो character था वो wealthy landowner था. He was famous for hospitality. Hospitality मतलब जो चीज़ें चाहिए वो चीज़ें. Facilities बोल सकते हैं आप. And love of fine food. उसको क्या पसंद था? Fine food पसंद था और wine. Okay. Next question 21. What profession does the Franklin represents? So the Franklin was a wealthy landowner. The Franklin is free landowner of substantial wealth, but not a noble birth, representing the rising middle class of Chaucer's time. So you may get a question in your upcoming exams that who represents a rising middle class in Canterbury Tales. So the correct answer is Franklin. He has served as a sheriff and a member of parliament, demonstrating how prosperous commoners were gaining social and political influence in 14th century England. So next question, who named is Hubbard? The friar is the correct answer. Hubbard is a personal name of Friar, one of the most corrupt religious figures in the pilgrimage. Chaucer portrays him as most interested in a profit than a pastoral care. He associated with the wealthy tavern keepers rather than the poor, sells absolution and arranges marriages, often after seducing young women himself. So Hubbard जो था वो बहुत ही corrupt religious figure था in this pilgrimage. चौसर ने उनके ऊपर सटायर करने के लिए जो 14th सेंचुरी के रिलीजियस प्रिस्ट थे उनको सटायर करने के लिए चौसर ने इस कैरेक्टर को अपने कैंटरबरी टेल्स में इंक्लूड किया. नेक्स्ट, who is fond of hunting in Canterbury Tales? The monk. The correct answer is monk. The monk loves hunting and keeps greyhounds directly, violating monastic rules and required contemplative withdrawal from worldly pleasures. Chaucer's satire exposes hypocrisy. He ignores the rule of Saint Benedict, dresses in expensive fur and lives as a worldly aristocrat rather than the spiritual guide. So the जो कैरेक्टर है पिलग्रिमेज द कैंटरबरी टेल्स में द मॉन्क, उसको क्या पसंद है? हंटिंग पसंद है. और वो चौसर ने इस कैरेक्टर को क्यों यूज किया, इस्तेमाल किया, मतलब जो हिपोक्रेसी दिखाने के लिए 14th सेंचुरी में जो रिलीजियस जो लोग थे वो कैसे करप्शन करते हैं, किस चीज़ में इंटरेस्टेड है, वो दिखाने के लिए उन्होंने इस कैरेक्टर को इंक्लूड किया. तो वो ड्रेस, उसका अपीयरेंस कैसा था? ही वॉज वेयरिंग एक्सपेंसिव फर एंड ही वॉज लिविंग एज अ aristocrat rather than spiritual guide. Next question 24. Which pilgrim has a forked beard? The correct answer is merchant. The merchant is described with a forked beard and fashionable clothing, presenting a prosperous appearance. However, Chaucer hints at the financial troubles beneath this exterior, and merchant tells a cynical tale about marriage that may reflect his own unhappy domestic situation. सो फोक बियर्ड किसकी थी? द मर्चेंट की थी। चौसर ने इस कैरेक्टर को क्यों इस्तेमाल किया, किस लिए? क्योंकि मैरिजेस को दिखाने के लिए, मैरिज को रिप्रेजेंट करने के लिए मर्चेंट कैरेक्टर को उन्होंने लिया। सो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन 25, who was deaf among the pilgrims? So the wife of Bath was deaf, uh, somewhat deaf. She was not completely deaf, but she was somewhat deaf because of her five husbands struck her on the ear during an argument about her reading anti-feminist literature. This physical detail ties into her prologue's central themes about power struggles in marriage and woman's sovereignty. So the wife of Bath जो कैरेक्टर है वो कितने लोगों के साथ शादी करते हैं, मतलब 5 लोगों के साथ। उसमें जब एक के साथ आर्ग्यूमेंट होता है किसी चीज़ पे, तो उन्होंने हिट किया था कान पे, उसकी वजह से उनका वो क्या हो जाते हैं, समवॉट डीप हो जाते हैं। So this is the session where we have discussed the very important questions on the Geoffrey Chaucer and his works. Uh, the half we have done, another half we will be continuing in tomorrow's session, and tomorrow we will be discussing on Shakespeare and his 4 famous tragedies and other important aspects of those tragedies and his comedies and sonnets. Okay, so if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe and click on that notification bell so you will get a regular updates. And also we have launched a book on British literature. If you want to buy that, you can WhatsApp us and we will give that ebook to you for your handy reference. So it is very helpful for you guys. Why? Because we mentioned mnemonic techniques so that you can recall the writer's name, chronological order, characteristics very easily with those mnemonics. So if you want to buy that, you can check out the description box, or else you can WhatsApp us. The WhatsApp number is already given in the description box. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned. Keep studying. See you tomorrow.